All right, everyone, we've got some stuff to get into here with Lost Ark, so let's jump right into it. And unfortunately, we're going to start off here with the bad news, and that is the official release for the very highly anticipated roadmap of Lost Ark has unfortunately been delayed. And you can see this is a post by Seawolf, who is an Amazon employee. I don't think we'll be releasing the roadmap this week, but we definitely want to get it shared as soon as possible, and it will include details on the April release and more. Now, the thing about this is, even though a lot of people were expecting the official roadmap in March and we're not going to get it, that doesn't mean that we don't have any indications of what the future of Lost Ark is going to look like. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There's several different indicators that we can use from like information from what Amazon employees have said before on the forums and other indicators that give us a pretty darn good idea of what the future of Lost Ark is going to look like. It's just without the official roadmap, nothing is really set in stone, nothing is confirmed, but it should still be pretty darn close to what I'm going to lay forth in this video here. So that's the bad news right there. The other thing is this week for maintenance, I don't know when you guys are watching the video, of course, maybe maintenance is already over, but not any kind of crazy update, no crazy new stuff, a couple of bug fixes to the PvP MMR bracket, a couple little bug fixes, improve the weekly battle item bundle so players can now select their preferred battle item chest instead of receiving a random grant, and nothing really super insane. This is really just kind of like a maintenance patch, so no reason to get into the details of this. Let's really talk about what's important, and especially with a week where there's really not a whole lot of stuff going on, this always brings up the topic of what's coming next? What's really going to be the future of Lost Ark, and what can we kind of expect in the coming weeks and months? And like I said earlier, there's several different indicators that we can actually use to really put this together, even though we don't have the official roadmap that's out. And the first one that I want to mention was the unofficial roadmap. You know, you could say it was leaked, but it really wasn't, because this was actually released by Amazon. It's just when they ended up releasing it, they decided to then pull it back down, and they said they were going to amend it. And ever since they actually ended up doing that, they haven't ended up releasing the new official roadmap yet. Now, the thing is, this still gives us a pretty good indicator of what's going to be going forward in the game, but there's obviously going to be changes. Certain things might be moved around a little bit. In fact, we've already seen some of this stuff come out, and you'll kind of notice that some of it has been moved around a little bit, and more of it is probably going to be moved around in the future. But it still gives us a pretty good idea, especially with what Amazon ended up saying with their really long post that they did a week or so ago, where they talk about their direction and their vision of the future of the game. Because again, we can take official information from Amazon from this post here, and I'll link all this stuff in the description if you guys want to take a look at it on your own in more detail. But this really kind of gives us the vision of what they're looking to bring to the game in the future. And, you know, TLDR here, I'm not going to read this, you know, just to kind of summarize a big part of what they said about the future of the game is they really want to focus on bringing more material accessibility, you know, making it the gap between 1340 to 1370, a lot of people calling it the dead zone, making it easier, and really kind of taking a step back from pushing out new content and focusing more on things like more material accessibility, easier honing, and also things like bringing out new classes and whatnot. So that's going to take a higher priority compared to like releasing Legion raids or new Guardian raids and stuff like that. So the combination of these two things here still gives us a pretty darn good idea of what we can kind of expect from the game going forward. So now let's kind of talk it through here and lay it out. And if we actually end up going to the early/leaked roadmap here, you can see that a lot of the stuff at the start we actually already got. We've got the Argos raid. We got the new Kadan quest. We got the first PvP season, which just started. Now, the first thing that we actually don't have yet is new classes. And in this roadmap, they actually talked about two new classes here. They talked about the Destroyer, and they also talked about the Arcana. Now, in this actual early roadmap, it seems like the Destroyer was actually planned to come out first. There's the possibility that that might not be the case when they actually do come out. It might be the Arcana, or I think there's actually a very good chance that we're going to see them both at the same time, especially if you actually go and really read the vision of the game going forward and you kind of analyze this a bit more. It makes me more confident that I think we're going to see a very high likelihood of both of them coming out at the same time. But nothing is official, of course, until we get that official roadmap. Now, the thing is, I've been noticing a lot of comments and just chatter about the new classes, and I've seen an incredibly high amount of hype for Destroyer, not as much hype about Arcana. So just saying, now the reason why I point this out is because when these classes do come out, in whichever order that they do come out, I don't think it's a bad idea to keep in mind that this is in the very near future of the game. And if you guys are going to actually make these new classes, it's not a bad idea to take some time to prepare a little bit early now. Get the materials, get some of the stuff to really kind of get that character started when the new class does come out, so that you're not fighting the crazy market conditions that we might have for a little while when the new classes do come out. I mentioned this in my previous videos. I don't think materials are really going to go crazy high back up in price and stay there for very long, but I do think that one of the things that could cause material prices to go back up and spike in price, at least for the short term, is these new classes coming out, especially with all the hype that I've seen about Destroyer. So, if you are planning on making those new classes, I don't think it's a very bad idea to at least prepare a little bit going forward in the future. So that's one thing to take note of. Now, if we go back to the roadmap, if you take a look, they actually announced a lot of new raids and new content. Let's take a step back and let's talk about this more later, because, going back to the vision of the game and what they anticipate and what their priorities are releasing stuff, I think it's going to be a little while, and I think we're going to see basically everything else come out first before we see things like the Vulcan, Vicus, and the new Guardian raid, which is Kungalanium, I believe. So next up here, and I think this is actually, hard to say whether this is going to come out before the new classes. I would imagine that this probably will, because they really emphasize their priority is more material accessibility and making it easier to hone, especially get up to 1370 to be able to access Argos, and that is South Vern. South Vern, of course, new continent, and the reason why this is significant is because South Vern is actually going to have, it's going to have more quests and more story, but also it's going to have a new instance dungeon. I believe it is a weekly, and it's going to give you a currency that you can end up using in an exchange shop to end up getting more materials. So, that's more material accessibility, and that's kind of their, top priority right now. So I would say very likely we're actually going to see this as the next piece of content come out, and then we're going to very likely see one or two of the new classes, Destroyer and Arcana. And of course, the new raids will probably be at the last of the priority list right there. So then we've got the new Guardian raid, the new Legion raids, of course, Vulcan, Vicus, and Kungalanium. Vulcan is, I believe in the other versions of the game, it's minimum item level 1415. Vicus is 1430, and Kungalanium is 1460. Obviously, we don't know if they're going to be making any tweaks or changes to those item levels. Originally, I believe that one of these was already supposed to be out or coming out very soon, but with how the Argos launch went and the intentions of the developers and the publishers, Amazon, of the game, I think it's very unlikely that we're going to see any new content that is gated behind reaching higher item levels until we see basically everything else that's on this roadmap already come out. And then, of course, the very last thing here, which even I can't really analyze because this one's got me a bit confused here. If you guys can help me out with this one, I'd appreciate it. But that's this new solo game experience, Throne Spire. This was the last thing on the list. It seems like they gave us the least detail. So this could very well likely be a very long ways away, unless it actually ends up helping with materials and, honing, and it gives you resources for that, in which case they might actually bump it up in the priority list. But they actually have it here as quoted a new single-player dungeon experience. However, I noticed that the name Throne Spire, if you actually take a look here, at the tower, it has the same names as the other towers, which is Shade Spire and Fate Spire. So part of me is thinking, isn't that just going to be the Tier 3 tower, the equivalent of the Tier 3 tower? But the way that they have it phrased in that, early roadmap where they said new single-player dungeon experience has me a little bit confused on whether that's the Tier 3 tower, or whether that's something completely different. So if you guys have any interpretation of that, feel free to let me know. But that's basically, I think, most of the stuff that we're going to expect in the game in the coming 8 weeks or so. Not getting into anything at the cash shop. Obviously, a lot of people are also wondering about skins. There's a lot of skins that a lot of people want that aren't in the cash shop. Don't really know anything about that, and I don't think anybody really does. That's all up to marketing and You know, Amazon is going to put that stuff out when they decide they want to make more money. So who really knows with that? But when it comes to content, I think this gives us a pretty good indicator given the old roadmap as well as the intentions of Amazon through that developer blog of what's going to be coming forward in the future of Lost Ark. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it helped out. And if you guys did enjoy, feel free to leave a quick like. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well. Turn notifications on if you enjoyed and you want to see more videos like this in the future. And feel free to check out the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/salt, where I will be streaming Lost Ark as well as other games in the future. I know I haven't streamed in a bit. I'm working on it. My schedule has been not great lately, and hopefully I'll have an official set schedule for that, and you guys will be able to see the streams resume soon as well. So have a good one, everyone. Take care, and until next time.